everyone. Thank you for taking out time and joining us for today's webinar. I believe and trust you and your families are doing well. As you all know, the well being of our members are foremost on all our minds. I hope and I pray that will come out of this tragic and devastating second wave of COVID 19 soon. Uh, you all are aware that vaccination slots are open starting 1st May. Just go ahead and book your slots just to be safe. My name is Sushma and I'll be the moderator for today's session. Along with me, I'll have Vineet who will be helping me managing the system today. Topic for today is information security and governance. And before we begin today's session, I wanted to seek nominations for the volunteer work that you would like to do for the chapter alongside the board members. I'll give you 30 seconds to share your nominations in the chat window. Your name, your ISACA ID. We can pick the phone number and your email address from ISACA profile, and we will connect with you. Just so if you are not sure, as in you want to do, you don't want to do, you still have an hour long time to think about it and share it before we end the session. Okay. Rules for today's CPE session. We will credit one CPE for every 50 minutes that you attend. So for today's webinar is for 60 minutes, which entitles you for one CPE. If you have any questions on the topic or on what our speaker is going to share today, you can bring that question up through the chat window. Our presentation deck will be posted later on the New Delhi chapter portal, and recorded video for today's session will be published on the YouTube channel. We will also share a link for the feedback form towards the end of the session. Please share your findings, your inputs, anything that you would like us to work upon, or if there is any other feedback in general that you would like board members to pick up. As always, for any additional support or certification chapter queries that you may have, please reach out to us through our email address, that is info@isakanewdelhi.org. You can alternatively WhatsApp us at 98184 22212. Moving ahead, Uwais Momin, who is the speaker for today's session. Welcome, Uwais. Just to share a brief about Uwais. Sure. He works with Nokia as an information security program manager. He is CISA certified and holds 20 years of experience in a lot of domains, especially global cybersecurity. The objective of today's session is what is information security governance, why is it needed, and how this governance can be used effectively in your programs. Make maximum use of it, ask questions as many as you want, and see that you get benefited from today's learning session. Before I hand over to Uwais, I would request our president, Yusuf Hashmi, to share a few words, and then we'll start the session. Thank you, and over to you, Yusuf.
Yusuf, now you'll be able to speak.
Sushma, can you hear me?
Yeah, now
Yes,
we are able to hear
yes,
you.
we can. Thank you.
So, very warm welcome to everybody for joining this session. As you know that this month we have actually just put across the thought that why not we have every weekend one session from us. So because that's the only time we can actually now use and leverage this opportunity or the time that we can actually learn something. So let's connect together. I won't waste time of yours because 5 minutes already passed by. So I thank you, Uwais, for taking this session. I'm sure that this session would be very interactive, interesting, and we need to get something out of learning of this session, because governance is so very important, because most of us are senior folks and they actually uh, at a certain period of time of career they have to take a governance role. So it's very important to know technically what is governance is all about, why we are doing it, what is the benefit of governance, and how do we apply that into our work. So over to you, Uwais. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, Yusuf. Thank you, Sushma. Uh,
Uvais, you have the presenter rights. You will not be able to present the screen.
yeah, I'm just using those rights. Please give me a moment.
Sure.
I hope this is visible now.
Yes, Uvais.
Okay. Thank you, Sushma, and thank you, Yusuf. Thank you, Vineet, for first of all inviting me to to this to speak on this topic. And I hope that everyone who's attending the session and our fellow ISACA Delhi chapter members are safe, and also their family members are safe. Please, as Sushma pointed out, please do take time to go ahead and take the vaccination. And with that, I would like to first of all introduce myself. So I have been I'm a information security program manager with Nokia. I have been associated with Nokia for more than 11 years now, and I've been handling. So I handle multiple roles, multiple programs within this function. And so just a bit of a clarification. So I'm not here to promote any Nokia products or services. I'm only here to share my personal experience as a program manager in managing global programs, and also not I mean these the views that I'm expressing, or the information that I'm sharing, these are my personal views and not really my company's views as such. Although my experience in managing programs in Nokia is going to influence my the way I'm going to speak today, and of also the topics that I'm going to cover. But please do not take this as a Nokia view. So I would like to clarify that. And and then I would like to start the presentation. So the topic today is information security governance. And what I did is I tried to find out what is a governance model, as in how what is this term governance and where is it used. So I found a very interesting definition in one of the ISO standards. It's the ISO 26000 standard, and it defines organizational governance as a system by which an organization makes and implements decisions in pursuit of its objectives. And I believe this is applicable to all systems, not just information security or quality. It can be applied to any system, and we do that. We do apply these principles in information security, quality, environmental management systems. So this is a common philosophy that we have been using, to ensure that the governance model is effective and efficient, and everyone knows about it. So that's the philosophy that we follow. And why do we need it? First of all, when we manage global programs, and the reach of these programs is multiple geographies, multiple functions. It is very important for everyone to understand the importance of your programs and what is the intent of the program. So that's the reason we need a governance model. And this having a governance model in place, it also encourages collaboration between teams, and then that leads to meaningful engagements, and then a lot of groundwork that happens that can be measured effectively for its effectiveness. And it actually helps the program manager. I mean, I'll be very selfish. A good program governance actually is a key ingredient to success for managing successful programs. So as a program manager, I intend, or I definitely start my program with setting up a governance structure in place, and then driving the program across the organization. So that's a quick introduction about how I do it in within my company. So the key characteristics of and benefits of having a governance model in place, apart from the collaboration and the other points that I mentioned, is first of all, this optimizes the program. So when you have a governance model in place, you are actually optimizing your resources, you're optimizing your efforts to benefit the organization from the end results of the program. So it will help you define the roles, clear roles and responsibilities, and segregation of duties within the program. It will also help you get the required resources from the top management to run your program. And then it also helps the to establish accountability of the program across various business teams and corporate functions and support functions. So that's a very important part, because without a governance structure, you cannot actually have accountability and deliverables assigned to individuals or to business teams. So it's a very important factor. Now, a good governance mechanism also must also have a good communication channel to ensure that all the program related activities are communicated to within the organization, and then the organization is in line with the program objectives. This also gives you a good governance model. Also gives you a way to collect feedback from from the end users and from parties, like third parties, like your customers, your third party suppliers, your collaborators, regulatory bodies. So this establishes a good mechanism to continuously get feedback from these parties, and you can use this feedback to improve your program. So that is a very good input that you establish with a good program governance. It also helps you to approve or establish a proper approval channel within the approval as well as escalation channel within the organization, because without a good governance model, you cannot actually have uh, uh, a good approval chain and a good escalation matrix defined in the organization. So that a good governance model would help you do that. And it also helps you to do or conduct any change management around your programs. Now, one of the benefits that I already told is when you establish a good governance model, you get a good visibility of the overall program and its objectives and its deliverables, and that helps to effectively manage your program and optimize your resources within the organization. So these are some benefits that a good governance model would have. Uh, just one question, Sushma. Can I ask you to run the poll during the presentation itself,
Absolutely.
or do I need
Absolutely.
to?
We'll do that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sushma.
Sure.
So I was looking at a couple of governance models, and since I'm talking about the information security governance, I took this example, which is there's a specific standard ISO 27014 2020. It establishes governance processes, and this standard is it belongs to the family of ISO 27000 standards. And this was earlier published in 2013. There's a new version available that was released last year. And this is, I'm not going to speak about any other models. I mean, there are so many other governance models available, like you have OBIT, you have the Information Security Forum governance models, and then a couple of others that you might be implementing within your organization. So I'll stick to the ISO 27014. I'll just take this as an example. And I believe the elements of governance, they are more or less same within these different models. So the one which is described in 27014 is pretty simple. It is pretty clear also that when you establish a governance model, you need to take care of certain key elements within the function. And those key elements is, and that those elements also empower you, you as a program manager or a governance function to control the entire governance processes and put controls around it. So some key elements or key processes that have been defined in the standard are first is the direction. I mean, when an organization has a good governance process, it would also have the ability to direct the key information security objectives, and align these objectives to the overall company objectives or the business objectives. And this also helps you to promote a positive information security culture within the organization, which is very important because information security is, most of the time it is considered as it is not considered as a business enabler. So when you are running information security programs, you would need to have this positive mindset about information security, so that the business consider information security or cybersecurity as a business enabler. So it's very important that we establish this philosophy in the governance function, and this also helps you establish the organization's risk appetite, and then the overall information security strategy, and a policy which gives the intent of the organization with respect to this topic. And then once you're able to do that, you're also able to secure resources, not only in terms of investments, but also in terms of people within the organization. And this is very important because no program can run without the support of resources within the organization. Otherwise, it will be just a superficial program. It will not really have any material value towards it. Now, a good governance process also would also have a good communication process. Now, communication, I would mean both external as well as internal communication. External communication is important because you need to showcase to the world how your company takes care of these practices within its scope, and how do you comply to regulatory requirements, how do you comply to customer contractual requirements. First of all, how do you gather this information, how do you comply to them? So all these relate to a good external communication process. And when it comes to internal communication, it is also one of the most important aspect of a good governance model, because it actually helps the management or the leadership team to communicate to the entire company end users and company business executives about the intent of your policy, about the intent of your entire model, and how does the organization benefit from it. So this can also include certain targeted communications towards all employees. This can have a good awareness model also built around it. And the third aspect, which is very important also, is monitoring the performance, and having a timely action plan around these around the findings when you monitor key aspects. So first of all, you need to define an effective monitoring mechanism as part of your monitoring process, and this monitoring mechanism should focus on internal as well as external needs. So again, internal would be your business teams, your corporate functions, and then external needs would be regulatory requirements. We have seen a lot of requirements coming from GDPR, and then the China cybersecurity law. So all these different regulatory requirements require you to have a good monitoring in place, and also timely communication with these external bodies to if there is any issue regarding your entire management system. And then the fourth process, which is also equally important, is evaluation. So once you have a clear line of direction, and then you communicate to everyone about your intent, and you sort of monitor this intent and its implementation in the organization, it is very important to also evaluate the effectiveness of this entire system. And that's where the evaluation process needs to be defined within the organization. And this actually also acts as a feedback mechanism for providing further direction, or creating new strategies around your governance model. So this actually drives the actions for improvements within the organization. So any system that you implement within your organization, you have to have a continual improvement plan, because without that, your system will not be successful. It will become stale in the organization. People will probably forget about your programs. So you need to have a continuous evaluation process about your programs, so that you can have continual improvement. And then these continual improvements can also drive the future decisions to optimize performance and make necessary investments to improve the entire security posture of your organization. So this will also act as an input to your management. Sushma, can you please? So I would like to run a poll here. Can you please run the first poll?
Sure. So, Vineet, the first one.
One moment, Sushma.
Sure.
Yeah, it should be there
And
on the
Sushma,
screen.
I want to ask. Sorry.
Sorry, Uwais, go ahead, please.
No, no. I just wanted to ask. I mean, do I need to do something here from my end
No, you
to
don't.
execute the poll?
You don't. No, that's why we have Vineet. He's our system master. So he'll run it for you, and we will
Thank you.
request everyone to please share your result. Choose the
Yeah. So
best option.
I would like to ask everyone: do you have an effective governance structure in place in your organization? And please give a thought. You've got three options here. Please respond.
So we have close to 95 people responding to that yet.
Okay. And do we publish the result right away, or
No, no, we'll do
I
that.
can't see anything?
Yeah, give me a one
Okay.
moment.
Okay.
Let
I
people
did
do
not
that.
make the poll, by the way.
Maybe because you are the presenter, you would not have received that. The
Yeah.
rest had.
Okay.
So we have close to 110 people responding to it right now, but I think still people are responding. We
Yeah,
have
we
a
can wait
total,
some
we
time.
have a total attendees of 134. So let's wait. Okay, in the interest of time, I'll publish the result for you, Uwais.
Thank you.
So can you see the result, Uwais? No?
I am not able to see that.
So we have close
Uh,
to
One.
98, 85% of the people saying as yes, 7% of the people saying as no, and 6% of the people saying as not aware. That's the response that we have received.
Well, that's a good percentage of people saying a yes. I appreciate that, and I think For the people who are not aware, I think it's time for you to find out the governance mechanism within your organization, and also question or ask questions around it, because that's very important for even as a person. You would need to understand what is the governance model in your organization, in your respective organization. And for the ones who have responded no, I think you can probably initiate that if you have the authority within the organization. And if you do not have the authority, you can at least tell your management to start a good governance process. And then, of course, you can use the good material that is available along, on a lot of platforms. You can use that as a reference material. So I'll move on to the next slide then. Now, this is something which is very general. So I've spoken about the processes and the various aspects about governance function. Now, I'd like to talk more about how practically we do it, as in within the organization. How do we do it? So, I mean, I'll give an example. So this is something that I follow, and a lot of my colleagues also follow. So, in order to have a good information security governance in place, we would need to first of all continuously assess the maturity and effectiveness of our security program. So, before you go ahead and propose a governance around any programs, you would need to first understand uh, what is your security posture. I mean, this is one of the most important aspect that you need to understand. And for that, you have a lot of options available. And these are some options that we follow internally to set up a good governance function, and also ensure that the entire organization benefits from it. A couple of options that we can discuss is, first of all, you can have, what we do is we do external benchmarking on an annual or regular basis, that helps us to understand where we stand in terms of our assessment, maturity with our collaborators, or with our partners, or with our competitors. Now, this is very important because unless and until you don't do that, you would not be able to benchmark your capabilities or your internal processes. So this is a very important aspect that you can explore within your organization, as to how do you benchmark. I mean, there are various ways to do that. You can access some reports which are freely available. You can hire someone, an external agency, to do that for you. Of course, I'm not proposing you do that, but these are just options that you can explore. So by hiring an external agency, the results will be very, very customized for you. So you would get results around the focus areas that you have within your organization. So that can help you to sort of have a good assessment about your capabilities as an organization. And this also helps you to improve or to focus on areas where you can clearly identify. So there could be some low hanging fruits that you can, by correcting some practices within the organization, you can achieve good results. So you can focus on those. And then there could be some long term uh, uh, long term solutions that can be yeah, that you can explore within the organization to take care of, or to sort of close the bigger gaps in the organization. So this is one option. Then you can deploy red teams within the organization. This is also, I mean, you can have internal as well as external. You can do these exercises internally or externally as it suits you. So if you have the internal talent, you can please go ahead and do that. If you don't have an internal talent, then you can talk to some experts who can do that for you. Of course, the scoping of the red teams is very important, because you cannot you cannot assess everything and anything in your organization. So you have to prioritize which which systems or which products you would like to be scoped in your red team exercises. So that's one option. Then another option is, when you conduct audits, internal audits, or some audits which are driven by the finance organization as part of the SOX compliance or any other compliance that you may be required to do. So these assessments give you a good amount of opportunities for improvements within the organization. And just like any other assessment, you will get a clear picture of where your organization stands, and you can also use these results to benchmark your organization, with your competitors or with the other players in your industry, and that will help you to also get to a list of specific actions that you need to take to attain a certain maturity in the within the organization. Or if you want to do an external assessment, you can also, there are some platforms available which publish your results on common platforms. Like, for example, in telecom, if you have read, there is a common platform which is the ETOM. I mean, the TL 9000. There's something called as, it's based on ISO 9001 standard. It's TL 9000 standard, and what you do is you measure the. Of course, it's a quality related activity. It's not an information security related activity, but there you get the maturity of your products, as in how well your products perform. And there, on that platform, the results of various teams or various companies are published, and that can be utilized by your customers to understand what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your improvement areas, and based on that, the negotiations and all these things, these other RFP opportunities can be explored there within that domain. So that's one option you have. Then there are other globally available standards available, like ISO 27001, ISO 27017, and then you have the CSA star certification. These are of course, these are external certifications, but you need an internal program to drive this. And these also give you a good overview of where your organization stands, because you have to, for taking the example of ISO 27001, you need to implement, or you need to develop a statement of applicability for the standard, and that statement of applicability gives you a good overview of where which controls have certain maturity in your organizations, which controls do not you have not implemented within your organization. So that gives you a ready-made list of controls that you can utilize, and that these can also act as an input to your governance model, because any system that you implement within your organization, that system has to be governed properly, and that system can only be maintained with a good governance model. Otherwise, you will probably get the certificate and then lose it in some time. Then you can also test the awareness of your employees by doing phishing tests within the organization. This can be again driven externally or internally, as depending on the availability of your resources and the capability of your resources. And this is a very important element that we have been doing for quite some time now, because this gives you a picture of where your employees are in terms of their understanding of your information security practices within the organization. And this actually gives you a real-time picture, because these exercises can be done on a regular basis. This is not a one-time exercise. So you can do it, you can engage a third party to do it for yourself. You can have your internal capabilities built up to do these exercises on a regular basis. And that gives you a picture of where your organization stands in terms of employee awareness. And then then you can further develop your awareness programs depending on the awareness results that you get out of these exercises. Another important feedback mechanism is to get a view from the customer. And I have seen that in my experience, what happens is, once we sign a contract with a customer, most of the contract uh, clauses that you sign, nobody really looks after on looks after that contractual requirement after the contract has been signed. And that is like that can actually lead to a lot of penalties on you if you fail on certain elements that are part of your contract. So that is very important, that someone looks at your customer contractual requirements and then continuously provides a feedback to the governance team that this is the maturity. So here also you can do an exercise like benchmarking exercise about how do you fare in terms of your customer contractual negotiations, customer contractual requirements. So this is a very important factor. And then you can also engage a third party to conduct a customer feedback survey for you, and that can actually give you a real time view of how your customers perceive you as an organization. And that can also drive, or that can also be a very good input to your governance model. uh, the One of the other options that we explore a lot is real-time information security risk rating. Now, this is there are various players who do this for us. I mean, like I'll give you an example. Like there are companies Bitsite, Security Scorecard. These are the companies who I'm not promoting them again. These are just examples that might be used to get a real-time risk rating for organizations. So this can help you in two ways. One is, when you employ or when you engage with a third party, you can actually access these their security scorecard, and then understand where they stand in terms of their security posture as compared to the other organizations in the same domain. And then the other benefit is, when you yourself are being tested, or when your risk rating is being accessed by your customers, it gives a good picture to the customer about where you stand as against your customers, as against your competitors. And this can actually help you to bring the right focus of the entire organization, because sometimes what happens is, when an organization is trying to build this governance model and communicate it to the business teams, the seriousness has to be brought in about why is it important. And these ratings can actually drive a lot of these programs, security programs within your organization. At least for in my case, it has benefited us a lot, because then it gets the right focus from the business teams. And because the moment your security rating is high, as against your competitors, uh, the business directly benefits from it. So that's very important. And once you've got all these inputs, once you've provided these inputs to your governance, uh, it is very important to have follow up that activity with a good execution plan. Because unless and until you do not have a good execution plan, you will not be able to, I mean, the entire exercise of collecting information for the organization, and then also providing or creating these reports around it. It is not going to help you without creating or following it up with a good security execution plan. And that's what we have also been doing internally. So there are various ways to make a good execution plan, and the inputs again to a good execution plan can be from from the organization's objectives, as in business objectives, its strategy, its values, and of course its domain also where it operates. And then there are, I mean, we already spoke about the benchmark analysis where your organization stands against your competitors. And then continuously reviewing the security risks and threats to your organization or to your domain or in your field. And that will help you to I mean, these can be done again by audits, by focused assessments, by red teaming exercises. All these can provide a good input here. And then assessment results. So assessment results can be from your audits. It can be from your objectives, security objectives that have been defined for the organization. It can be coming from your business objectives also, and it can also come through your customer feedback, as in how your customer feels about your organization. So all these can drive a good security execution plan. Now what I mean, these are some examples of key programs that can be run based on your security execution plan. So for example, regulatory compliance programs. So we the companies that operate in multiple geographies have to comply to a lot of regulatory requirements like GDPR. Then I mentioned China cybersecurity law. Then there's in the Oceania region, we have to comply to the Australian cybersecurity law. I don't remember the exact name of the law, but you have to comply to these. Then I'll give you an example. Another example. We operate in Turkey, and in Turkey also, if you have to participate in any of the government related regulations, government related tenders, then you need to you need to have a mandatory ISO 27001 certification there. So that's like one of the requirements. There are others also. So these are just examples. And then GDPR, I think it's quite famous now. I don't need to speak about it, but yeah, that is one program that you can have. And then internal IT security programs that can influence the way you operate, or I mean, because IT is the backbone of any business. So you need to have a good execution plan in terms of and strategic plan in terms of how you operate your IT organization, and how you take care of your infrastructure. Information security programs that are focused on various elements like customer security requirements, your critical information. First of all, you need to identify your critical information. Where is it flowing? Where does it reside? And you can run programs around that. A lot of companies have uh, crown jewels like the research and development centers. And typically in research and development centers, they have a lot of flexibility to work. They have a lot of access. They can do a lot of I mean, they're basically allowed to freely do a lot of things. Now it is very important that your crown jewels are protected, because that's where the organization is actually earning its revenue, because your products are developed there. So it is very important to focus on your crown jewels also. So these programs can be, the information security programs can be run there also, dedicated programs. Another important point that probably a lot of teams ignore is the physical security program. Now this is the first line of defense of any organization. So it is very important to also have a working relationship with the. Generally, what happens is physical security is managed by the real estate, or it's slightly it's not very I mean, it's not included in the information security practices unless you are going for a certification like ISO 27001, which takes care of all the domains. Generally, we focus only on the information security aspect of it. We do not really look at physical security. So it's very important to have or to include or to onboard the physical security managers also in your execution plan, because that's the first line of defense that will help you to protect your organization. Then product security. Now, product security is like, depending on which domain which type of business you are into, it can actually make or break an organization. So product security is like one of the most important aspects for an organization, and we also do take it very seriously. So we have dedicated programs around it. And by programs I would mean dedicated testing, dedicated development models, as in secure development models. And then we have something called as design for security. So what we do is we like to develop the products right from the development stage. We include security in those processes. So that's like you don't really need to have a separate program around it. You have imbibed product security in your product development process itself. Privacy programs. I mean, a good privacy program would first start with having a good and very robust privacy policy. Because if you are operating in various geographies, you would need to first of all have a good privacy policy in place that is supported by, and most of the privacy policies are supported by the cybersecurity and information security policies as well. Because while privacy policy would give the intent, the implementation of protecting that information happens from cybersecurity or information security. So we have to work in collaboration with the privacy teams because they have very specific requirements. The focus of information is private information. So they need to have a dedicated program for protecting private information. Now, a lot of organizations are also into services. So, so there could be two business models. One is, you have your own products and services as part of your portfolio, and then you have the other model where you have services as part of your portfolio. So those, you need to also focus on the services part of your portfolio. And there, we have dedicated teams which take care of that. In fact, a lot of companies offer that as a service as well. Managed security services, and they can operate your SOC. They can operate a lot of different services for you, and that's a very good business model. So in order to have that, first of all, you need to protect your own services offerings, and that's where the services security program will help you. Supply chain security, I think most of us know about it. There are various ways to do it. I mean, this actually is very important because your partners, your vendors should be motivated enough to at least have a similar level of security in their organization, because most of our customers uh, who uh, who entrust their information with us, they are also expecting that the same trust should be there, or the same level of protection should be there with the organizations that we outsource our business to. So this is very important, not only our vendors but also our manufacturing. I mean, because we also are in manufacturing processes, so we also take care of that aspect in our supply chain, and that's a very important aspect to look at. Then we have something called as a customer security, a very dedicated customer security program. As I said, a lot of teams do not really, I mean, what happens is you sign a contract, and then what happens after that, how the security, customer security requirements are being adhered to, that's something that the business teams might lose focus over a period of time. So we need a dedicated customer security program which takes care of these elements, and also helps the business teams or the customers to have the faith in us, and have a long-term relationship. So we have a dedicated security, customer security program that we run. Cloud security, of course, I think this I don't need to speak about, because most of us, have, as part of the IT strategy, you would have a cloud security program inbuilt. There are some organizations which are transforming, which are also transforming their own infrastructure and moving to external clouds. Like, we are also in some part of the business, we might also do that. So it's very important that that aspect is also covered when you have a good execution plan. uh, I'm not sure if you want to ask questions now, you can ask me, otherwise I can move to the poll. I mean, I have another poll for you.
So the polls app is there for the members. They can just start responding now. So in the interest of time, Uwais, I'll publish the result, whatever responses that we have received.
Yeah, thank you, Annie. Maybe I will also have a look at it.
You would also be able to see now.
Yes.
So 85%
Yeah.
of the people have said yes, 9% have said no, and 4% are not aware.
All right. Thank you. This is a good result. I mean, I think this is in line. So yeah. So yeah, I can move to the other slide. So yeah, I will just take an example of how you can operationalize a good security execution plan. So this is an example. Like, you have a lot of regulatory requirements, and then a lot of customer security requirements, your own internal requirements. So what a way to operationalize a security execution plan would be to have a global security control framework in place, which has elements from all these requirements. And then you have a common framework which is available to all the businesses, business groups, and corporate functions within your organization. And this common framework can actually be used by everyone to have like a minimum baseline security established in your organization. And this will also help you to benefit from the best practices that happen in the other parts of the organization. So this can be established by using a forum. So we also do that. We have internal forums where where teams, they share their own uh, practices with the other organizations. And then, instead of reinventing the wheel, we try to learn from the other business teams or corporate functions, and then we implement those within the organization where there is a gap. So that's a good way to operationalize. And I mean, why do we need it? Is because if you do not have this kind of a common framework, what happens is uh, the organization will, I mean there are various ways to do this, but you will always be having, you know you'll be working on new models every time you get a new requirement. So if you have a baseline security established, because if you look at most of the requirements, regulatory requirements or customer security requirements, most of these have a baseline security requirement. So it can be like, companies now ask for ISO 27001 certification. They can ask for PCI DSS certification. They can ask you for compliance to 27002 guidelines. So all these are, they've already established this baseline. So it can help your organization if you have a baseline established in your organization, and then whatever frameworks, additional requirements you get from, from either regulators or customers, you can build on those requirements, and then you need to just do the delta. You don't need to really reinvent the wheel every time you get a new business. So this is the way. This is one of the ways to operationalize these plans, and then you can, key inputs or key domains that you can cover, here in the execution plan, is to have elements from cybersecurity, supply chain security, privacy, customer security requirements, product security requirements, regulatory requirements, and then physical security requirements. All these elements can be, mapped to a global security framework, and this can actually give you a very good model to drive in the organization. And also, when various businesses are running these programs, then there is a lot of internal motivation also happening, that we should all be at par with each other, so that also helps you. uh, I'll also discuss a sample governance model quickly. So this actually helped me a lot personally. Sorry, there was a noise. So this personally helped me a lot when I was running some of my programs. So what we did is, we first of all, before we started a program, we established a steering group, and then that steering group was represented by the business group and support functions sponsors, the head of corporate security, and then the risk owners. Now here, I would like to also, you know, uh, make a point here that defining risk owners at a management level, or at a leadership level, is very important, because then you get the right amount of focus for these risks. You get the right amount of resources to mitigate these risks. So it becomes very important. If you, it helps you if you define risk owners at a steering group, at a driving or a governance level in your organization. And then you have the more of an operational team, where you have the core team members which drive these programs, or these practices in the various business groups and corporate functions. And if you have an external party supporting you in any of these programs, you can have them also in the governance model. And then, they will have their own team structure, and then that team structure supports your internal organization structure, and these to work together towards a single goal. I'll give you an example. So because we had a very good governance model in place, so we started internal ISO 27001 certification sometime in 2018. And 2019, everything was smooth, although we had some delays also. But in 2020, when COVID hit us, uh, we, of course, there was a delay in implementation, but we did not give up the program. So because we had a very good steering group supporting us on this activity, we had a very good dedicated core team member which was supporting this activity. So we did not give up that activity, or we did not stop that activity. We still got some of our key sites certified in as part of this program. And in spite of offices being closed, in spite of people not being able to come to office. So we got we got some replacements, or replacement team members who can handle this. So this all was possible because we had a very good governance model in place. And because of this, the entire process was very transparent. Whatever happened, we were directly reporting to the steering group. We did not have any situation where the steering group was not available. So it was an inclusive process. And then we had also brought in a lot of effectiveness and efficiency in the entire process, because we saved a lot of money also for the company. And then this governance model also established a lot of accountability at the sites that were getting certified, because there was a direct relationship between the results and the activity that they're performing. So they had to deliver. So it was kind of a very tightly sort of done governance and execution. So this is an example that I wanted to discuss. I think the time is over, so I would like to stop here. There's one more poll that I wanted to do. Do we have time for that?
I think we are over time right now, Wes. I think we have few more questions coming in. If in case you want, maybe we can run
Okay,
through the
sure.
questions. Okay. So the first question that we
Satyar,
have from the member. Yep. Somebody was saying something.
yeah, it was Satyar. Uwais, thank you for a wonderful presentation. Just a quick question on a previous point relating to customer security programs that could be established to assess, whether once the contracts are signed, they're meeting the objectives of the business, right? Can
Yeah.
you care to elaborate on what all should be covered in it? Right? I mean, and you coming in from a product and a services company, that would be good to hear, right? So,
Yeah. So first of
as
all,
part of a customer security program. Yeah,
yeah, I
right.
would not. I mean, we can probably take this offline also, but quickly, I would like to cover this, that for your customer, security is and it's all inclusive. So the customer will not ask you for internal security, external security, or product security. They would like to just understand, if you're delivering your products, how secure they are. And your organization, I mean, they're entrusting their data to you, how your organizational practices are structured. So when, as part of our internal processes, we have a dedicated pre-sales team which takes care of these responses. And then we have a dedicated post-sales support organization which takes care of the end-to-end security portfolio. So we don't talk about, when we talk to the customer, we're not talking about one element of security. We take care of the entire end-to-end security in our communication with the customers. And this is done as per the contractual requirements. So we analyze what are the requirements, that those, I mean, and the first important part is that someone has to be accountable for these customer security requirements. And it's generally the accountability is distributed in the organizations where this customer delivery is happening from. So if it's a product delivery, then it will the direct accountability is with the product team. If there is a services delivery, then the services organization is accountable for handling these.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Wes, we have another question coming from Vineet
Yeah.
Agarwal. What he's asking: what to do if the company has a governance model since a long time, but it's not as per the standard like ISO 27014. However, the management is not willing to go for a compliance certification, but they still want to continue with the existing governance model.
Okay. I think I faced this situation. And what I did is I went to my management with some statistics and numbers. So what we did is, as part of our program governance, what we did is we analyzed all the requirements from our customers who actually, we had signed these deals with customers that that had a clear requirement in the contract that we need to get certified to 27001. So we collected this information. We had a lot of trends and analysis and how. And the second thing that would help you is to also give a picture to your management about how your competitors are performing. So that also is a very good driving factor. So I would suggest that you take these two routes. Probably you can try this. First of all, your internal compliance, and then the second one is how your competitors are placed with this compliance.
Okay, thank you, Uwais. Another question is, how do we identify and handle the governance gap issues?
Okay, that's a good question. So identification again, identification of governance issues. Nobody is going to tell you that I don't want to follow your governance model. Nobody is going to tell you directly that. So what you need to do is you need to identify the issues that are happening because the governance model is not working properly. Once those issues are I mean, you find those issues, you need to connect that to the governance model and the way you have established your processes. Once you're able to do that, and you can highlight these gaps, that this is what we had planned and this is what we are, where we are. I think that gives you that empowers you to actually highlight to the management that we are probably shifting from our objective of achieving something, a certain maturity, or you are not there are delays in achieving those objectives. So this is something that I would do. Although there are various ways to do that, but this is something that I would do.
Okay, thank you, Uwais. Last question before we actually end this webinar. The last question is very interesting. And then this is a culmination of 3-4 members putting the question together, so, and that is why I'm just putting it for you. Uh, they want to understand what is the function of the red team and blue team, and how do you differentiate that?
So to be honest with you, I don't handle the red team in my organization. So, my colleague handles that. But you know, I think there are various descriptions available, and these are all internal practices. So I'm not sure about if I tell you the difference that's there in Nokia, probably the difference in other companies would be something else. So I'm not sure. I mean, how do I mean, what exactly are we looking at? What exactly is the question here? What difference do you want to know? Probably I can take that offline, that question.
Okay, can I attempt to answer that, Uwais, on your behalf?
Yeah, please, Vineet. Yeah.
Okay, so red team is something which is offensive team. Largely any vulnerability assessment or penetration testing exercise which you see in the organization is a way of really trying to attack into your organization, to identify the ways
Yeah.
how you can attack to your organization infrastructure, and any adversary could gain a privilege to that environment or to the
Yeah.
infrastructure. That's something which the purpose of a red team is. Again, there are different types of red teams within the organization. There is internal red team, there is an external red team. You can hire a crowdsource analyst from outside who can actually try to penetrate into your network. So there are various set of teams who are there involved into the entire structure. uh, Blue teams are largely the defensive teams. The SIEM guys, which you would have heard about, the SOC guys, the malware
Mm.
analysis guys, and then the internal application security teams who try to actually build up and verify the controls of your organization from an application security or mobile security. These are largely the defensive teams. So that's how you put it.
Yeah. Thank you, Vineet. Thank you.
uh, I think there are no more questions. There are a few questions, but I think they are prevalent to what we have already spoken about. So I think we are good here. Shushma, back to you.
Sure. Thank you, Uwais, and thank you, Vineet, for taking up the questions and running the polls on my behalf. Truly appreciate you. So, Uwais, thank you so much for taking out time for our members and, of course, sharing the knowledge that you have. You are the master of information security. That's what I have learned today. So thank you so much for taking out
Please
time.
don't call me that.
You truly are, trust me. And the presentation was fantastic. I am sure all our members have gained something new today and they will put this into practice.
Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for ISACA Delhi chapter for giving me an opportunity to speak on this topic. And I hope I
Absolutely.
can add more value in the coming time. I'll take an opportunity in future also to speak about some other topics.
Thanks,
Sure.
Uwais.
Thank you.
Feel free to share the
Pushpa,
topic that you would like to talk
Pushpa,
about.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Pushpa, can you please remind everybody on the volunteering
Yes.
opportunities that we have within the chapters? Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Yusuf. So, folks, as I had shared in the beginning of the call as well, we need some volunteers to help support the board members and the chapter here in doing some additional tasks. So, as you all know, COVID is there and it has not only impacted you, but it has impacted everyone, right? So, we need some volunteers to help us. Just let us know whosoever wants to pick up any activity for the chapter. You have our number and the email ID, or you can alternatively keep that put that in the chat window. Also, don't forget to share your feedback on today's session. We have already shared the feedback form. Do submit the feedback and we will definitely try and work on it. We are looking forward to another session and we'll come back with more information on that. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. You all stay safe, stay happy, and of course, healthy as well. Take care. Signing off now.
Thank you. Thank you everyone. Bye. Have a
Thank you
good
so
day.
much. You too.